But I think it's extremely important that we put a local face on the recent announcement by Chrysler Corporation that they, as a part of their negotiations with the federal government and bankruptcy court, are planning to close a number of dealerships here in central Illinois, specifically this dealership here, this Chrysler dealership. I'm here today really to express my outrage at this and also speak publicly about my efforts to work towards a more amicable resolution to the problem. It's no secret that America's car companies have gone through some difficult times, as most industries have over the last couple of months with the economic downturn, and the federal government on a number of occasions, against my will and against the will of many members of Congress, have gotten involved in the private sector. And we've seen the attempt of spending billions of dollars of taxpayers' money to try and bail out different industries. And unfortunately, all of that money has been spent, and yet the stock market necessarily hasn't recovered. The economy has not necessarily improved, and we have fewer jobs than we did 6 months ago. Shortly after I was elected to Congress, the President came forward with a very ambitious stimulus plan, which spent nearly $1 trillion in an attempt to rescue the economy. This money was meant to be infused into the Main Street, if you will. This was after a $750 billion stimulus plan, or rather $750 billion TARP bill, which is aimed at the financial institutions prior to my election to Congress. That, of course, was meant to infuse capital into the private market so people could continue to operate their businesses, people could continue to get car loans, home loans, businesses could continue to have their lines of credit. Unfortunately, as I travel around my 20-county district, I hear the opposite of that. Businesses' line of credit are shrinking. Their access to capital is being limited despite a huge infusion of taxpayer dollars. 3 months later, as I mentioned, the President came forward with a $1 trillion stimulus plan. This, of course, was meant to help Main Street and was supposed to boost up area businesses around the country so that we didn't see additional layoffs. Since that stimulus plan has been passed, there has been over 500,000 jobs additional lost, despite all of the infusion of money from the federal government in an attempt to stay off layoffs. Now, my frustration is not that companies are going out of business. The reality is, in my opinion, the free market will take its course. We as consumers, private industry, and the economy will determine who the winners and losers are in a free capitalistic society. My concern here today is that we have, unfortunately, as a result of the government getting involved, started to choose winners and losers. And we've seen this play out in the financial institutions. We've stepped in to bail out companies like AIG and others because we've deemed them too big to fail. And yet there are many community banks in my district that have failed because they did not receive government bailouts or stimulus checks. Likewise, we're seeing home foreclosures on the rise because they too did not get stimulus monies or government bailouts. We're here at a business today that is profitable, one that is successful at selling cars, one that would otherwise continue to employ the individuals who are here today, would continue to sell cars, would continue to be in operation if it weren't for the federal bankruptcy judge, as a result of the federal government putting pressure on this negotiation to require them to reduce the number of dealerships here in the country. Rather than allowing the free market to take its course, which has happened over the last year here in our country, we've had over 1,000 dealerships around the country close their doors of all different makes and models because of a reduction in demand for automobiles as a result of the economic downturn.
Many of the dealerships affected are the #1 contributor to that community's sales tax revenues to operate the police departments and the city government. The employees are highly skilled, and it takes a year just to learn how to be a good salesperson. It takes years to be a good technician. I thought about Scott Altman. We've been hearing a lot about Scott Altman. I wouldn't have any idea how to fly that vehicle that he's in to repair the Hubble. And we've got people right now, I think, that are making decisions about our industry that absolutely don't understand how it functions. I'm a very proud person that's done well with the American free enterprise system. And to me, this takes away the freedom of being an entrepreneur. And And that's what most all of the American people aspire to be, is a businessman and have the freedoms that we've enjoyed and our forefathers have fought to preserve.